This video has been brought to you by GG Bet.
Hello everyone, my name is Bass in the Past, otherwise known as Oliver Bass, joined alongside by none other than Pyro J, and once again, this is the esports.net recap show, a show recapping key moments and key events from around the world of esports in the last week. And we're kicking off today with probably one of the biggest things in all of esports, not just for this week, but probably for the entire year. Valorant, VCT has franchised, which... Pyro, I don't think we can overstate how big of a change this is. We've seen esports do this before, but the way that Valorant has done this, woohoo, this is monumental to the entire scene.
It's huge because it highlights the biggest of the organizations that are involved in Valorant. I mean, you have the most winningest of teams, the known esports organizations that are a part of this. Immediately, you look at Sentinels, 100 Thieves, Cloud9 for the Americas. You look at Fnatic, come on, the Carmine Corps, Vitality, Na'Vi for EMEA. And the Pacific region as well. Gen G, a ton of very popular organizations. But with franchising comes organizations that you would never expect to not be part of the franchising. I mean, it feels like it needs to be bigger, almost, Bass. When you look at teams like Optic Gaming, a team that was a finalist in the last Champions of VCT, not there. Explain this to me, Bass. Give me some explanation for this to make sense.
There's not much of an explanation as much as this is what Riot and Valorant have said is going to happen. They have not been very vocal about why teams have made it, why teams have not made it. They've just given us the list at this point. And the list, for those that are curious, are America starting off, 30 total teams. I should preface this one. So that is the very limited pool, which is part of the criticism that we are starting to hear for VCT, is that a lot of people believe this should be larger. But for the teams that we do have, Americas, it is 100 Thieves, Cloud9, Evil Geniuses, Furia, Crew Esports, Leviathan, Loud, MIBR, NRG, and Sentinels. For EMEA, the Europe, Middle East, and Africa region, it is BBL Esports, Fnatic, FUT Esports, Giants, Carmine Corp, Koi, Team Heretics, Na'Vi, Team Liquid, and Vitality. And for APAC, otherwise known as Asia Pacific, it is Detonation Gaming, DRX, Gen G, Global Esports, Paper Rex, Regum, Quan, T1, Talon Esports, Team Secret, and Zeta Division, which, again, a lot of very notable teams on there. But like you said, when you have the defending champions in Optic Gaming not getting a spot, it really does raise a lot of eyebrows. And for a lot of these teams that are not on there, there are two sides to the coin. For teams like Optic Gaming, TSM, The Guard, FaZe, Shopify Rebellion, a couple others, maybe Ninjas in Pajamas, teams like, let's say, Xerxia Esports, even some technically smaller but still large orgs like Ascend and Guild Esports. The question really becomes, why would they not make it due to the popularity of their teams? And then on the other side of the coin, you've got teams like Boom Esports, Fun Plus Phoenix, again Optic, like we talked about, XSET, who all had extremely successful teams within VCT. So it really is confusing when there are two sides to this, and both of the sides, you kind of have to wonder what is the reason they didn't make it, and especially for Optic, where one of the largest fan bases on the planet, plus a very successful team, there are so many questions as to why on earth they did not get included in this partnership.
There's a lot of questions for these organizations, and you even have to branch into the conversation of the players.
Yes.
Now, you just mentioned Optic, right? Gay, one of arguably the best players in Valorant right now. Team breaks up. Players are LFT, don't know where to go. It's created this huge eruption, this explosion of talent that is left available. And we are just in this moment of chaos in VCT. Don't get me wrong, as a fan, I kind of love it. It's exciting, but you gotta feel for the orgs. You gotta feel for the players, Bass. And this is only the beginning of franchising for Valorant and VCT. There will be more excitement to come, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely, especially considering the fact that they have now created a very rigorous structure to implement this entire thing. As it stands right now, although there are those 30 teams that we said that are going to go straight into franchising, that is not necessarily the only teams that are going into franchising. There are moments through Ascension tournaments, as they have stated, that are going to give way to chances for other organizations, for other teams to find themselves a spot in their franchising in the future. Unfortunately, this is a very long roadmap. They don't even plan on really kicking off the full thing and getting into in-person events, weekly likely until 2024. So there's a little bit of time until VCT really puts this into full effect. But as it stands right now, there's a lot of criticisms. People are very happy because of the fact that they see a lot of big orgs. And for some people, franchising marks the future of esports, considering that's how traditional sports have done it for oh so long. For other teams, they're a little bit fearful. They really do believe that this could be too chaotic of a change for VCT. We'll have to find out, Pyro. There's a lot to unfold here in the next couple years. So rather than theorizing, why don't we talk about something else on the day? Secondly, we'd like to talk about Twitch gambling update, which we should maybe be calling the Twitch gambling canceling because they're taking out gambling. But, Pyro, this is where it gets interesting. It's not necessarily a full-on ban of gambling on the platform, just some extra rules for some of these people.
Yeah, I feel like the headlines that came out of this was Twitch bans gambling. People are, oh my God. Like, that's not really what happened. There's just some fine tuning to some of the gambling sites. I think Stake is going to be a site that people will find that's very popular, that rings a bell, that is now going to be banned. There are certain cases for gambling accounts that are just not licensed. That are just not going to make the cut through Twitch. Examples of gambling that will still surface, that will still be available, are gambling sites like any that involve sports betting. Those are still cleared. And, you know, this is actually, this particular moment was something that top creators were really a little bit argumentative about. The popular creator Trainwrecks TV, one that obviously uses some of these gambling sites that are now being taken down, is arguing that there's some kind of corruption going on between Twitch and different sites like sports betting, because there's some kind of like comparison there. Now, that's a biased opinion in my opinion, because he's a little bit roped into that. But yeah, it has really opened up a can of worms, Bass, because you just have quite a big, huge creators in Twitch that are very heavily affected by this.
Speaking of heavily affected by gambling, though, it does feel like a lot of why this was brought on in the first place is due to a couple of recent incidents. We've seen some controversy surrounding some streamers such as Miskiff and XQC, but the big one that has really kind of caught the eye of Twitch, if you will, is Sliker. Sliker owes $300,000 to multiple people, not only that are on Twitch, but to people in his audience as well. And when Twitch got word of this, that's when it started to stir this movement. Creators like Pokimane putting out things on Twitch Twitter saying, hey, let's start trying to make a push for gambling bans. And that's kind of what this all evolved into, is that Trainwrecks, as much as he is in the correct, I wouldn't say the correct, but sort of has a lot of valuable and valid points to what he is saying, it is also, again, very personal to him. He is one of the biggest gambling streamers on the entire platform, and although it is not necessarily going to completely take away his platform, it is going to restrict him in multiple different ways, and I think you and I can both agree that is going to be something he's going to have to face in the future. If you guys would like to see all of Trainwreck's exact comments, please go to the article that esports.net has put out about said gambling, because it has all of them, and we unfortunately can't really read all the comments that he has here today. It's rather explicit in what he has said, but here's the reality. At this point, it does feel like a lot of people have somewhat overreacted to this. The only reason you would see certain streamers getting upset is due to their partnerships with websites that will probably be taken down. Even as Trainer says, sports gambling is not going away. Slots and roulette probably not going away as long as they are regulated. And that's the big thing, is that if these streamers are able to find ways to continue gambling, it's not going to be a big problem. A lot of what this is Twitch trying to cut down on some of maybe the more influential gambling that has gone on their site.
Listen, I'll give Trainwreck some credit, because part of what he's saying is that, you know, shortcut some of the streamers that are hiding the losses in gambling. Shortcut some of the streamers that just aren't being more ethical about their decision making, because though Trainwreck does a lot of gambling, he believes in being very, very transparent through the process and trying to show people the losses that you can and probably will get through gambling on these sites, and to not try and lead kids into that movement of gambling. So there's credit to be given there, and a lot of streamers in general, I think, are saying that this is a step in the right direction potentially, but it's not the final step. So Bass, I think this is sort of a first movement on gambling from Twitch. More to come.
I think that there is going to be a lot more to come here. Unfortunately, there is not more to come for our show here today. That is all that we have here for our show, for the esports.net recap show. Once again, my name is Bass Splash, joined alongside by none other than Pyro J. Make sure to go check out the articles about what we talked about here today on esports.net, and we will see you guys next time. See you next week, and have a good one.
Sponsored by GG Bet.